our vision is that in 10 years from now, every company is going to be a software company, and the backbone of that will be our platform. There is no quick way. We had basically no money at all. This isn't for everybody. If you slightly think you could live without an entrepreneurial career, don't do it. Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
I think I should try this myself.
Yes. So who are we here with?
Leonardo Moretti.
Moretti.
I'm the CEO and co-founder of AppBase. We're a Swiss-based startup in the region of St. Gallen.
Yeah.
We transform enterprises and government processes.
Amazing. Tell me, how long have you been in this industry for?
Well, actually, that's the point where I should bring my partner in.
Of course.
Florian Wahl. He's my co-founder, and we are doing software like since we were 14, so out of high school. And that is where it all started. So it's now a long time.
Crazy. Okay, right now, can you maybe explain a little bit what is this industry that you're in and what exactly are you offering?
Sure. So basically, what we are facing right now is that we have to think about how are we changing enterprise architectures with an IT architecture that is already there, and how we do it in a not harmful way, in a risk-free way, and how we do it quickly. So basically, what AppBase is offering is a completely autonomous toolkit of components that you need to do innovation without risk and without any other suppliers. So basically, that's the situation we created with our platform. And then on top of that, there is our service where we going to deep partnerships with enterprises and to try to bring them to an agile way of thinking about innovation. So our vision is that in 10 years from now, every company is going to be a software company, and the backbone of that will be our platform.
Amazing. Wow. That's a great idea you guys have. Tell me, how did you get into this space at the beginning? Like, how did this idea come out of nowhere?
Sure. Florian is the technical part of us,
Yeah.
and I was more the design part and the user experience part. So basically, in Switzerland, when you're in high school, you have to do a project when you finish.
Okay.
And Florian's project was, we had like a book where we had to write what we learned at the day and stuff like that. And we had to plan our entire schedule by ourselves, what we are going to do when, what we are going to learn when. We had to do that by ourselves. And the organizer was this book, this heavy book that we had to bring in every day. So Florian at that time already could code in Visual Basic, I think. Yeah. So he had the idea, so why don't I digitalize this book for our school? It was like maybe Google Classroom, you might know that, but like in 2015.
Okay.
So that was the kind of starting point.
Yeah.
And he showed me that, and that was like our, let's say, Steve Jobs and Wozniak moment where I thought, whoa, what is that? You can really change something that is a pain in the ass in your life by yourself without anyone else. You can influence stuff.
Okay.
And that was the starting point where we had like, okay, this moment, we can build software, we can solve problems, we can make it change to a better thing, and things that are in our life, especially at that time.
Amazing. That's really cool. You know, in entrepreneurship, there's always this part at the beginning where you recognize this opportunity, and where you just have to trust yourself, right? So this is kind of the phase that you went through, especially in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So tell me then a little bit about later when you started to have real business problems. What would you say was the biggest challenge you guys had in your whole career?
It was definitely not a technical challenge.
Okay.
Definitely not. It was one of the biggest learning to deal with humans, to deal with different peoples, different mindsets, different focus points. That was the real challenge, to bring them all together.
For my part, you have to see, Florian and I, we had a long time, let's say, where we weren't entrepreneurs, we were builders. We were building products.
Creating value.
Yeah. So we didn't have an entrepreneurial spirit from the beginning. It was more like the thing, okay, we can influence and change something for the better. I think the entrepreneurial side and the struggle that came with that, and the big struggles that we overcome, came in 2020, where we both started doing it full time, and we had to do something that works right out of the box. So we're completely bootstrapped till now. In 2020, there was the first time where we had to deal with how are you gonna make a dollar? How are you gonna make a euro?
Okay.
What are you doing if you don't have any context? And at that time, we moved from Switzerland, from our safe haven, let's say, where we grew up, to Düsseldorf in Germany, and we were there with no context. So what do you do? How we make $1 of revenue? We moved together. Yeah, we were roommates.
You really have brothers like in real life.
We are really, really close. We know each other from since kindergarten.
That's amazing.
So how are you gonna do it? And we had basically no money at all, and we didn't ask our parents. We didn't want to. We couldn't. We were on our own, and to deal with this kind of situation was the building block to never fear anything again, because you could do it. You could face anything. That was the biggest challenge that we had to overcome. And now that we did overcome that stage, it's more like how you're gonna make things happen. Because not everybody's gonna agree on you, and especially when you're in an environment in an organization of any kind, can be a country, can be a state, you have different flows of opinions. How are you gonna influence that in a positive way is our main challenge today.
Wow, beautiful. You told me before that you were builders, right? So you didn't think much of entrepreneurship at that time. So what is it that changed that mindset shift that you guys had? What was that moment where you thought, okay, you know what, we have to somehow monetize this, and there's definitely a potential in the market for it? What was that moment for you guys?
So we had to learn the selling part, really make a business. That was the biggest step, I would say.
If you're starting out of that environment, like the school, you are the consumer. So what we had to learn over time is that you have to really put yourself in the position of the other person. What is the consumer thinking? What is the other person thinking? That is the main part that we don't sell. I think there are no good salesmen. I think there are just people who fuck it up or have the ability to put themselves in the vice versa person's shoes.
Empathy.
So that was the point that made us more into a business, was the necessity to bring food to the table. So that would be my answer, because otherwise I think we would do it for free, right?
Okay.
Because now we are digitizing government processes in Switzerland. So basically, Florian and I always have a bigger picture on the world and markets that are, I wouldn't say selfless, but are reaching for the longer term. Business is great. You have to be profitable. You have to do things in an economic way, because that's efficiency and productivity. It also can create borders where they're not belonging. Especially in the AI stage that we are in, companies should tear down borders. Like gatekeeping their stuff is important and it's their value, but it's not. It has to be a common vision. And I think that is what I love about this conference here, or this summit here, because it strengthens Europe, it strengthens Switzerland, and it makes a kind of statement that we are in this together and have to work together and not gatekeeping.
Amazing. Yes. In terms of scaling, perhaps, the company, when was the point that you guys scaled the most and really saw big results?
Basically, we are in that stage right now, because we also started as an agency, as you heard. So what we did, we sold development services to big agencies that had big clients. And that has a fair amount of human labor, let's call it like that. You have to do services, and services are not that scalable. So we are now in the stage where we have a really scalable product from all the learnings of the last 4 years. So AppBase as a platform is the whole conclusion of our whole 4 years.
Yes.
And now, if you talk about scalability, also there is a shift that we think should be done different, because we can't just think about scalability. We have to think in customer success. We have to take more ownership. And that's the problems we are facing right now in companies, that there are a lot of IT systems. There is a fragmented IT architecture, because there came guys with great SaaS products, great VCs, that didn't care about outcomes of the companies. They just want to sell them and
the money.
Want to scale. And we definitely think different about that at that part.
Now, in terms of actual actionables that people can do? Because again, we are with the young generation, right? People that would also like to start their own thing. What would you guys suggest in terms of the market? What should they get into if they're trying to decide a space, an industry, or anything in particular? What is the right now? What is popping off that you would say get this opportunity right now?
I think there is no quick actionable period. If your viewers want to do something entrepreneurial, there is no quick way. So I really don't think that that's gonna work. That you're gonna
There's no
do.
quick way to success. You would say always take long-term discipline, perseverance. But in terms of actual industries and opportunities they should get into, for example, AI right now that is popping off.
I think that you should really deeply think about what drives value. And I know that is a really great buzzword, but you really have to truly think about what your value is. Because in terms of AI, you will not be there. Your value will depreciate over time. So you have to really think about what is your value, and you really have to think about, do I want to do that in an entrepreneurial kind of setting? Because this isn't for everybody. If you only slightly think you could live without an entrepreneurial career, don't do it. Don't do it. So that are the kind of questions that I would suggest that you think about as a young person. We got a little bit in early. I think you should get some experience in your in organizations first. But always think about that you don't get pulled in, don't get into the slump. Always think about what are you trying to find out.
Exactly.
But get your know-how, get to know how the mechanics work of the world first, and then start your entrepreneurial journey, because then it will be a lot easier to get in contact with people and to do stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's great advice. You mentioned before that you were builders and you started this out of real compassion and real thrive that you wanted to continue this, right? So I'm really interested in knowing, and I think the audience here as well, the way that you find the best opportunity in terms of demand. I'm talking about, because you need to know what the clients want, right? So in this case, you guys built this and realized that this is something that could be useful for a lot of people, right? So what would you say maybe is a way of going out there and finding that missing thing that there's this demand of, right?
I actually can't tell you that, because we didn't grow as a typical startup. Our idea didn't came from a typical startup background, let's say. Our business is a mixture of doing the right thing that nobody even in the industry wants to do. Actually, our product is like a gym subscription. Everybody should have one, but who goes there? Nobody goes there, really. The gyms are profiting of the people who don't work out.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
in that analogy, I can't tell
Maybe
you
your
what
own experience.
there is in demand, but you have to learn how to think by yourself. I think that's the main thing, the main privilege that we had, that we started so early, so there wasn't anything than our own thoughts. Hey, why is that like that? That shouldn't be like that. I mean, we could do it like that. Start thinking by yourself, start trusting your own thoughts and expressing your own thoughts. Don't be scared by expressing your own thoughts. And then if you express your own thoughts, somebody will react. And when you see reactions, then you know that there is something. But you also have to really have to trust your intuition somehow, or you also have to have expertise. So I think it's a mixture between both.
Would you like to add anything, or
Pretty much it.
I think it's a great.
The
I think it's a great answer. I mean, really.
Florian and I we have
Yeah.
spent so much time together. We are basically
You
one half
think
of a brain.
exactly the same. Perfect. So he talks for you and he says yes. Exactly. Perfect.
In a lot of things, yes.
Great.
But it's
Great.
also really important that he disagrees with me sometimes.
Absolutely. You guys are partners. Thank you so much for
Can I
for
ask
both,
you a
both
question?
you. Of
I
course.
think I should
Go
try
ahead.
this myself.
Yes. Go ahead.
What are you guys doing, and why are you doing it, and why are you? What makes you go out and tell other people what they could do and inspire them? What makes you? What makes you gonna do that?
Great question, and I would love to answer that. So, okay, for me, we have different. He does something else, but for me, it came out of a place of service, because I believe, and I said this actually in a previous video, but I want to repeat it. There was a point in my life where I realized I wanted to be bigger. I wanted to become an entrepreneur. I wanted to not just live the common, normal status quo that everybody does, right? I wanted to build something for myself. That was the first thing I realized. Of course, because I was with a lot of things I was studying at the time. I was still studying actually, but there was a lot of things in my life that didn't allow me to completely commit to it. I decided to start this. I decided to go and use my time in the best way, because what happens nowadays, there's a lot of young people that do not know how to manage their time. And if they do manage it, they manage it the wrong way. They use their time in things that are not going to build them. They're not going to bring anything to their lives. And at the end of the day, they realize a little too late sometimes that they just wasted, I don't know, a decade or stuff like that. So for me, this mission, again, this started when I decided to become an entrepreneur. I read this book. I have a quote that stayed with me, which is very, very, very interesting. It's the rent you pay to live on this earth is the service you give to others, which is so nice. It literally changed my perspective.
Cool, very cool.
So when I read this and I was like, okay, what can I actually do? What can I actually give others? I realized that I was myself in a state before where I was programmed to think the way society has made you think, you know, and I wanted to help these other people that also maybe feel stuck or maybe want to start something, they don't know how, you know, and that's where it came from. It came from a place of real generosity. And there's one more thing I would like to add, because as well, when I moved to Switzerland, I had a really, really bad time adapting.
Yeah, okay,
because in my opinion, you guys can disagree, but in my opinion, a lot of Swiss people might be a little too reserved. So what happens is that I didn't speak any German. So when I came here and I tried to adapt and speak in English, everybody was looking at me like, distance. And I'm like, okay, like, what can I do? So I insist. I was very, very consistent. Perseverance, it's very important if you want to adapt to, especially to a society like this. So it also came from a place of network. I wanted also to network with you, people like you guys yourself. Get to know those people that are like-minded. So I would say that's my answer. Yes.
So what are your next goals of YouTube?
Well, kind of like you two, we're brothers. We're really brothers, and we have so many dreams and so many things we want to accomplish together, and we're working on it. So it's not just mumbling and saying, yeah, let's do that, and not doing it. It's actually actionable and actually pushing each other, which I think it's, you guys definitely know.
So you're finding your purpose.
Yes, and I think that's the most beautiful thing in life, you know, to really, really work towards what you want and enjoy the journey, you know.
Great.
Live it the way you're supposed to. So, yeah,
that's a great ending. I think that's what you viewers wanted to get with you, that we have a small time on Earth and that we have to make it count. That's great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure with both of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Both. Bye-bye.